Hi, this is Sheila, and today I'm going to do something a little bit different. I'm going to do a story time video. A lot of you guys have been asking me to do more videos like this, and I don't know, I just always kind of think that my life is not that interesting. But I put the question out there of what story you guys wanted to hear on my Facebook and my Twitter, which are linked down below in the description box. So make sure you're following me on Instagram and Twitter and all that good stuff. But I put the question out there, what story did you guys want to hear? And you guys went with the story of how I went out with a guy and he made me order an appetizer at the restaurant, and he brought soda to the restaurant. So let's begin, shall we? I met this guy when I was working in Chesterfield. This was years ago. I do have more recent fuckboy stories, but I'm just gonna tell you guys this one for today, and you let me know if you guys want to hear more of these type of videos. I met this guy when I was working in Chesterfield, Michigan, and I had to go do these things called shop outs. Like, if any of you guys ever worked retail, it's like a shop out is when you get sent to a store and you have to kind of see what their prices are on things and document it or whatever. So they sent me over to Target, and he happened to work there. And so I was like perusing around this aisle, you know, looking for the particular item. And he kind of struck up a conversation with me, and I was kind of like, okay, and I'll have to walk off. And then he was like, so you should let me take you out to dinner. And I was like, okay, like, why not? I'm not doing anything tonight, so whatever. So we went out to dinner that night, and he didn't live in Chesterfield, he lived in Port Huron, Michigan. Okay, so we went out to dinner that night, and it was fine, it was normal. I think we went to like Bronze or something like that, like, you know, nothing super fancy, but you know, like a decent first date restaurant. So everything was fine, you know, we had great conversation, we got along. I was like, okay, like, he's kind of cool. We get to talking more. He lives in Port Huron. He gets fired from his job. He lives in Port Huron, and I decided we're gonna go out on a date. His car was not the greatest car. My car was a little bit better. So I ended up driving up there, which Port Huron from where I live is about 45-50 minutes. So I drive up there, and I get up there around 8 o'clock. Now the plan is for us to go to dinner, right? I get to his house, you know, we're talking or whatever, and it almost begins to feel like he's trying to kill time, because like he's saying like, oh, okay, like, you know, you ready to go? And he's like, oh, let me just do this, let me just do that. And I'm sitting up in his nasty ass, hot, stank ass apartment. Like, I'm sorry, here's the thing, like, I'm just not, call me bougie if you want, I'm just not accustomed to not living in a place where there's air conditioning. And I think that if you don't have air conditioning, then you need to at least have a clean place. If your bathroom smell like urine, if there's dishes piled up in your kitchen, and you just got super funk going on, when you don't have air, that just puts that on 10. Nobody has time for that. So I'm sitting up here, it's like, I'm hot, I'm sweating, I ain't got time for this, I'm hungry, and it stank. So let's go, right? So we're sitting there a little bit longer, and he has a kid, which I knew about. He has a kid, and you know, he explained to me that, you know, him and the mother of his child, because I don't like calling people baby mamas, that's kind of rude, but like, him and the mother of his child were broken up, according to him. We're sitting there, like, in his apartment, it's like upstairs. It's like a 2-story type of house thing. His apartment's upstairs, and the window's open because it's hot as hell, and this car pulls up outside, and this white chick gets out the car, and she just starts like yelling and screaming, talking about, I know you gotta, like, she just she just starts going off. He shuts the blinds real quick and runs downstairs, as if you don't want her to see me. So now mind you, the window's still open, so I hear the conversation outside because she's loud. Like, she's loud and wants to make sure that everybody, and probably particularly that I heard it as well. So she's talking about how, you know, you can't buy your kids some diapers, but you are sitting up taking, you know, taking bitches out. Like, it was just that type of thing, and I was just sitting there like, wow, okay. So by the time she leaves and he comes back up, I'm ready to go. I'm like, you know what, okay, it's too many red flags here, I need to go. I go downstairs, get in my car, And he's like, he runs after me like, oh, I'm sorry, don't worry about it. Let's just go to dinner now. Now at this time, it's about 10:30 or so at this point. I'm like, I'm ready to go. Like, I ain't got time for this. Like, I'm done. And he's like, no, let's go to dinner. So he's like, well, come on, get in my car. I was like, I'm not leaving my car here so that my car can get keyed. You leave your hoopty here and let her mess up your car. Ain't nobody got time for that. He says, let me grab my coat. So he goes in, he grabs his jacket, because it got a little cooler at this time, but not in his apartment, because his apartment was still, it felt like it was like 122 degrees in his apartment still, but whatever. So he goes in the house to get his coat, to get his jacket, and he comes out. So I drive over to, I believe it was Chili's. Chili's or Applebee's. I want to say it was Chili's. I'm pretty sure it was Chili's. So we drive over to Chili's in Port Huron, and the waitress comes to take our order. Or no, she comes to, like, you know, take our drink order first. So before I say anything, he says, can we get 2 cups of water and 2 cups of ice? So the waitress was kind of like, okay. And I was kind of sitting there like, but I was like, I just feel like some fuckery is about to happen. So I'll just be quiet and see what happens here. The waitress comes back and she sets down the, you know, the glasses on the table and everything. And she's like, do you need a minute? And I said, yeah. So he pulls out a can of Sprite and a can of Pepsi out of his jacket. I kid you not. He pulls up the cans and he's like, you like Sprite, right? Because the first time we went out, I ordered a Sprite. He's like, I know you like Sprite, right? I'm like, yeah. And so he pours the pop in the cup. He's like, ain't nobody about to pay $2.50 for Sprite or for, you know, soda at a restaurant. What? You know, we're looking through the menu, and you know, like, Chili's has like their little 2 for $20 or whatever. Like, you can go to Chili's and it's not like, Chili's is so cheap, right? So he says to me, he like snatches my menu and hands me the appetizer menu and was like, you can order 1 appetizer off of here. His whole purpose of parlaying and waiting to later is because I guess after 11 o'clock they had half-price appetizers. He was like, well, you can pick an appetizer from here, like, you know, mozzarella sticks, or, you know, like the little half size of the Texas fries or whatever little, you know what I mean, like whatever little, like the little $3 appetizers. He was like, you can have 1 and specify 1. Like, don't you dare order 2 appetizers. So now mind you, at this point, I'm really like, I drove. And I'm really like, I want to leave, but I don't want to be disrespectful and just leave him here at this restaurant because I drove. So I don't want to just leave him here. But I'm really like, this is it. This is, I'm just like, I just can't. I'm so done. Like, I'm through. I'm like really through in my mind at this point. So I take him home. He like, oh, you want to come up and have a skirt? I got the hell on back to the city. So the next day, or maybe like the next day or the day after, he calls me up and I'm at work. He's like, hey, do you want to go to lunch? Now mind you, I was like, okay, I have to go to lunch anyway, so whatever. And I'm thinking like, maybe I'm looking at this the wrong way. Maybe I'm overreacting about this date. Maybe am I? You know what I mean? So he was like, let's get to lunch. He's like, where do you want to go? I said, I was like, Bob Evans, right? Because I love Bob Evans. So I like Bob Evans. So we go, and just to make this long story short, we sit there. He don't bring up nothing about the other night. We just sit there and we're having a normal conversation, like la-di-da-di, like nothing ever happened. The waitress brings the bill. And I have to, mind you, I'm on my lunch break. He off because he don't have a job. So he off. So I'm on my lunch break. So I'm sitting there like, okay, so I have to go. I'm looking at, you know, I keep like kind of like, okay, I gotta go, thinking that he's gonna pay for lunch. Like, I just knew he was gonna pay for lunch, especially at that horrible ass display in Port Huron. So he kind of sitting there. So I said, okay. So the waitress came back around finally, and I said, can you put these on separate checks? When I tell you, his mouth hit the table, like it was just like. So I she brings back my bill. So I said, okay, well, I gotta go, because by this time I've been on lunch for like an hour and a half. I'm like, I have to go back to work. So I gotta go. So I go and I pay my bill. He tells me he don't have the money to pay for his portion. Mind you, the bill was like $22. So mind you, to just be petty, instead of just tipping, okay, so I paid the bill. I paid my portion of the bill. And I was gonna leave her a tip, but I left for a $10 tip to cover, basically enough that it would have covered his portion of the meal. But I made sure that I didn't leave it on the table, because obviously you scandalous. And obviously you probably would have picked it up and paid for your portion of the bill. So I guess he sat there to whoever came and, you know, gave him some money to do whatever, or I don't know. But he was like, I don't have the money to pay for it. So mind you, so yeah. So that was the end of that situation with pretty much the end of that situation. He asked me, he had the audacity to ask to move in with me at some point, like after this. Like we had kind of had a couple phone conversations, and he was like, I thought what you did about Evans was kind of bold. But then he ended up getting evicted and was asking me, can he come stay with me? Boy, can you come stay with me? Like, so yeah, that was the story on that guy. I don't talk to that guy anymore. I like to say that there's a lesson in everything. Life is too long to be unhappy with anybody and anything. Like, I feel like if it's too long. It's too long to be dealing with all of that. But anywho, so that's the end of my story. I don't want to ramble on. That's the end of this story time. So let me know what you guys think. If you guys want to see more of these type of story time videos, and I will see you guys soon for another video. Make sure you are subscribed. Bye.